Did you tell me to sit down? Cheeky buggers. It's alright, I'm just taking video, wandering around, getting ready for next year's video shots. There we go.
Now that is going to be great, and I am Denzo. I'm going to be your host, Denzo Moore, your host for today. I know it's down there as Dennis Moore. Some of you know me as that. My two brothers, Paul and Alan Moore, were both Australian welterweight champions. We've got a raffle going on today, as we always do, and everybody's very generous in helping. And Jeff Horn Senior has provided some gloves that Jeff will sign, not Jeff Senior. We'll get his son to sign that, I think. And so he's got the set of gloves there. One will be signed personalised to you by Jeff, and then the other one will be signed by all the other inductees as well. And that will be drawn. It's the tickets are one for $5 or five for $20. What a bargain! Okay, so I will welcome up our most esteemed president. If we can all give Scott a very big hand of applause, please. Scott Tweedy. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
I think I've got this right. Thank you very, very much, Denny. Denzo, as he likes to be called now. Isn't it funny how everybody wants to change their name later on in life? I'd like to welcome you all, each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen, the old heads and the old faces that I recall from years back, and also a lot of the new ones too. And if I start to categorise the new ones from the older faces, we'll all get lost, so we'll really get lost. Now, somebody said a lot of years ago that the best speech and the best sermon is one that's got an interesting end and an interesting beginning and very, very few words in between. So I'm just going to try and adhere to that old adage. Now, we've got a few apologies, and I will read them out. It's an apology from Warren Smithers. Warren's got a few health problems. And we've got an apology from Paul Moore, had to pull out at the last minute last night, mainly due to the promise of violent storms down Stanthorpe, where he currently lives. He's got a motel down there and he can't really turn his back on for the day and leave his wife in charge. We've got an apology from Johnny Gard, one of our godfathers here. Johnny was one of the original members of the Queensland Boxing Hall of Fame when it was initiated many years ago down the Gold Coast. We've got an apology from Colin Bell. Now, Colin, of course, is in the Hall of Fame, as you'll see his name on the honour board, and Colin unfortunately couldn't make it today. He's been a very, very staunch supporter of ours for a lot of years. Now, one of the reasons why we are so successful in holding our Hall of Fame functions is a fairly good working committee. Now, I'd like to introduce them all to you before we go too much further, if I could. And if they're able, would they be able to stand up as I call out the names? First of all, the patron, Mr. Murray Stafford. our Vice President, and everybody knows him and loves him, Mr. Brad McCarley. And listen, why are you standing up there, Brad? Why are you standing up? I know you love standing up in front of crowds. Brad was in the Australian National Boxing Hall of Fame, just recently held in Brisbane. He was awarded the Gus Mercurio Award for outstanding services to the sport of boxing. How about putting your hands together? It's very difficult when you're handing out special welcomes, but we do this every year to our long-time friend all the way from Victoria, the Secretary of the Australian National Boxing Hall of Fame and the Australian National Boxing Federation, Mr. Damien Membry, and his lovely partner, Charmaine. I called her Champagne last year, but it's Charmaine. Thank you, Charmaine, for coming all the way up. And while we're on the subject of Damien, we'd like to, on behalf of the Queensland Boxing Supporters Association, Damien would like to pass on our deepest sympathies for the passing of your father, Brian, who, of course, was an extremely notable character in the sport of boxing here in Australia. It's been a very, very interesting, intriguing period of time in the last 12 months since we last met here in the world of boxing. Some reputations have been tarnished and some reputations have been enhanced. Titles have changed hands and the world goes on. And from what I can see and from what I believe and hear, boxing is very, very strong and flourishing in Queensland. Now here at the Queensland Boxing Supporters Association, we try each year to select 2 or 3 boxers, associates and other awardees to be inducted into the prestigious Queensland Boxing Hall of Fame. It is really a great honour to be inducted into the Queensland Boxing Hall of Fame, and I'd like to personally warmly congratulate each recipient of this award, and I know that they will honour the privilege. Now, one of the recipients today, as we can see in the program, is the former world welterweight champion, Jeff Horn, one of our local boys, and Jeff was recently inducted, along with Brad McCarley, into the Hall of Fame, the Australian National Boxing Hall of Fame too. So congratulations, Jeff. Now, the Queensland Boxing Supporters Association was first initiated, of course, as I said a little bit earlier, years and years ago, about 400 or 500 years ago, down the Gold Coast, and it was I think from memory, the Gold Coast Retired Boxers Association. And then it, through one reason or another, when Reuben Pellerman had the commercial hotel down there, he was the biggest sponsor. And through time and the ravages of age, things changed hands, and it was relocated up here in Brisbane, at East Brisbane. We got hold of it, I wouldn't say we got hold of it, people before me got hold of it, and the very, very first Hall of Fame function was held in 2006. Now that's 20 years ago, so this is our 20th anniversary, and I'd like everybody to acknowledge the fact that we've been here for 20 years. It was under the leadership of one of our other godfathers, and I know he's going to stand up, he likes to stand up in front of everybody, Mr. Leo Butel. Leo always dreamed of becoming the Australian heavyweight champion, but lack of height got in the road, didn't it, Leo? The very first Hall of Fame function was held at the Bookies Club in Spring Hill when fearless Fred Casey ran the club. It was a great day. I was privileged to be there. Alan Moore invited me to come along, and it was just fascinating. Really fascinating. And if you look at the the big honour board here, one of the first ones, you'll see all those great names that were inducted and initiated into the Hall of Fame that particular year. And of course, one of the ones was Ronnie Richards, the great Ron Richards, who's unfortunately our good friend Maxie Ford, who was Ron's nephew, yes. Max's mother was Ron Richards' sister, and unfortunately we lost Max in the last 12 months. But anyway, that was a great day. It really was a great day. And as you can see, by all the names on both of the honour boards, and we'll take your time to go around and have a look at them before you go home, we are definitely surrounded by boxing royalty, there's no doubt about it. So ladies and gentlemen, after my very interesting beginning and my very interesting end, time has come, and I'll leave you in the capable hands of Tiger Singh to perform his acknowledgement to country. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good day, everybody. The acknowledgement of country.
Microphone up, mate.
Hello. The acknowledgement of country. I'm Uncle Tiger Singh from the Metro North, Young, Seagull and the Brisbane Council of Elders. It's on the Waggaroo Carlin man from Townsville. And I'd like to acknowledge the Jagera, Turtle and Jimara people, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, and traditional owners of this land where we gather today, and paying respect to elders, past, present and emerging. I recognise the connection to country and their role in caring for and maintaining country over thousands of years, and may the strength and wisdom be us and in today. Thank you.
Thanks, Tiger. A round of applause. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to do the Wally and Ollie Taylor Award now. If we can, that would be very great. So we will ask the inductees to come up. This is inductees, well, they're not going to come up, sorry. This is by Jack Kelso. He's a great... he was a great mate of mine. I'll just say a little bit, if you don't mind, about Jack. First of all, I used to... who knew Jack Kelso? Put up your hand. Anyone? Yeah, okay, very few. He was an amazing guy. He used to train all the boys. My dad had a boxing tent, if you knew about my background and the boys. Whenever we came back to around Brisbane, all the boys would go in and train at Jack's gym. And he was an amazing guy. Trained great Australian champions. Trained my brother Paul, Australian champion as well. But if we can actually get Frank Tiger up here again, please. And also Leo Butel. We can get a round of applause for these guys, ladies and gentlemen. Going to the building.
Thank you, and I'd just like to say a few words about Jack Sally Kelso. He was one of the great characters, and as you say, he and Snowy Hill were like the two unbelievable chords joined together, and they were just two characters. I'd just like to, without being nasty, one bit towards Jack, but I've got this little story. Jack used to come up to Snowy's gym every Thursday night and then match up the trial bouts. And they were 3 1-minute rounds. And Jack would hang around there and sort of say to the young players when they matched up, "Have you got a trainer? Come with me, I'll look after you tomorrow night at the stadium." So he'd take them there and he'd lead them out 3 1-minute rounds, and I think they were getting 30 bob, and he'd get 7 and 6, and finish up with 22 and 7 6 or something. And Jack's leading them out one after the other. He had 3 rounds, here you go. And he's got this other boy, and he thought he was fighting a 4-rounder. So Jack's put Vaseline around his nose and on his ears and down his forehead. And he's halfway up the passageway, and he said, "You're fighting 4 rounds, aren't you, son?" And he said, "No, only 2, Mr. Kelso." He said, "Go back in the dressing room." He took it back in the dressing room, wiped all the Vaseline off, put it back in the jar, and said, "Mate, you get 4 rounds. When you fight 4 rounds, you get Vaseline, not 3. And now he went without Vaseline. And that was Jack. And those were the 50s and 60s, and they were tough days. But Jack Kelso was a hero of mine and someone I'll never forget, and he deserves this award well and truly. Thank you. Is there someone here? Oh, here you go. Oh, here we go. And I'd like to present this. There you go. Sorry.
I'll accept that on behalf of Jack Kelso, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Dennis. You don't look like Jack. But anyway, thank you very much. It is an honour for Dennis and Denzo and I to accept the award on behalf of Jack Kelso. I never knew Jack, I really didn't, and because I come from Western Queensland, and during the days when Jack was hot shot training down here in Brisbane, we were doing what we do out west. So I never got around to meeting Jack. I heard a lot about him and read a lot of articles about him, and wished to hell that I had come down and shared his gym with him. But anyway, thank you very much for the appreciation of Jack Kelso and his family.
One little story about Jack. I think he trained a George Fleming. Anybody know the name George Fleming? Yeah, he was Australian featherweight champion, and he was a great fighter. But his name was Ray Ellis. And George went in there. His mate said, "Oh, you can go in and you can earn some money." And he said, "Oh, I don't want to go in and fight because I might lose. I don't want people to see that I'm going to lose." So Jack suggested that he use some friend's name that he doesn't like. So he used George Fleming. He became famous. Right. Up to you, mate.
Yeah. Here today because I'm the second inductee is Kerry Brown. And it's lovely to see all the family here today, and that's about it. I go back a lot of years. I knew Kerry for a lot of years. He was involved in our first Hall of Fame because he was a boxing historian, which he spent a lot of hours because I travelled with him in Sydney and all that. And most of the time, that's where he spent most of his time in the libraries and that. Yeah, but Kerry was very great friend of ours and all that. And I wouldn't mind asking George to come up here, Monica. He'd like to say a couple of words about that.
I have to read this on. We'd like to, as a family, thank you for the acknowledgement of Dad's contribution to the Boxing Supporters Association. I do remember it being called the Retired Boxers Association. His time in the committee as Secretary and Treasurer, but as John Gard said, his valued research correlating historical records of Australian boxing. He thought there was only Australian boxing in his books. He spent many hours at the State Library and he was generally liked as a very gentle man. Dad's interest in boxing started as a teen, most likely encouraged by the brothers. John Gard said he and Dad had fights the same night in 1950. So Dad only had a few fights, but Dad's love was for his family, but his passion was boxing. He often referred to the black dog, and I believe his interest in the research helped keep the black dog at bay. The mateship with the boxers and many trips away to Melbourne, Newcastle for the meetings rubbing shoulders with the many retired boxers, Johnny Famish and Lionel Rose, Trevor King. Was he a boxer?
Yeah, Trevor King.
Oh, okay, so I wasn't sure if he sorry. Yeah. And a young Tiger Singh.
Yeah.
Sam Solomon, Mario McGree, Snowy Whitelaw, and that's just to name a few. There were many more. So I'd like to thank you for acknowledging him, and it kept him sane.
The board give the announcement.
Yep, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Well, thanks. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the guys introducing, and also for Terry Brown and for Jack Kelso. I'd like to ask Scott Tweedy, please come up for a minute. Round of applause for Scott, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dennis. It's that time of the day that we give thanks to, and no, I'm not getting more religious here. No, I'm not. We give thanks to a very, very special friend of ours, and actually she's the daughter of our patron. And we'd like to introduce Jane Thompson to you now. If you have a look at the programs here that everybody's got, aren't they really, really professionally done? They're beautiful. Actually, it's a credit to Jane. Thank you very, very much, Jane. Jane also prints, she's also responsible for printing our monthly newsletters that are available, of course, to every financial member. And so we've got a little presentation for you, Jane, if you'd like to come up, darling. Stand up and let everybody see you. She's only a little thing, but she does an enormous big job. Jane, I'd like to present you with this, darling. It's Mercedes Benz in there.
Thank you.
That's all right, darling. And thank you very, very much for all the work you do for us. And just while I'm here, I just want to really make note of the fact that I haven't personally been around to see everybody. That's a little bit impossible. But it is marvellous the number of notorieties and notable people that we have here with us, former Australian boxing champions, and I refer to Johnny Rakowski and Solomon Curry and Ricky Thornbury fought for the world title. Oh goodness me, there are names, and I told myself I wouldn't start calling out names because sure as eggs I'll miss somebody, and if I have, please, I apologise. And we've also got up there the stand-up international cricketer Kepler Wessels. Where is Kepler? He must have gone home, as he said.
I believe he's got to go to Melbourne for a game. So he's had to take off.
All right, okay, we understand. Did he get permission from us? Okay, well, I'll hand you back to Dennis, and we'll move on with the drawing of the raffles. Thank you very much.
That's great. And also, what do you reckon about all the videos and everything that's gone up there? Pretty good, hey? Let's hear it for Steve Foster for doing that, ladies and gentlemen. And what about all you guys, Alex, Jeff, all of you up there, and you're watching yourself on there, and you're seeing yourself get hit, are you going, oh shit, oh, were you? Yeah, Alex was anyway, okay then. No, that's great. All right, we will get on with the presentations, ladies and gentlemen. And so I'd like to invite Steve Della. Could you come up here please, Steve? And John Burke. You're not going to sit down, mate.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for coming along and supporting this. What's it? Yeah, I would like to thank everyone coming along and supporting. I'd just like to introduce Johnny Burke, very good friend of mine for the last 5 decades. Also trained me, and I don't know if it's good or bad. He married my sister, so we'll see how we go with that. Just to give you a little bit of an insight into John. John is a kid from Kangaroo Point and started boxing at the Wollongabba Police Boys Club in 1957. John, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was a fairly new club, and I just went down and had a look and see what was going on, and saw the boxing room, and that was for me. Yep.
And who are you training with down there, John, at the time? I know it was a long time
called
ago.
Bob Harvey. He was a local policeman, but he was a southpaw. Every time he showed you something, he had to turn around the other way and show you a second time.
John, you then moved on, of course, in life, like we all do, in different chapters, and you ended up down at the Wynnum PCYC in 1966, roughly. And you went in there just to do a bit of training, and the trainer didn't turn up, and what happened then?
Well, I went down just to have a look around because it was a brand new club, and a mate of mine went down and he wanted to be a wrestling trainer, so as soon as they saw him, they grabbed him, and they said to him, "We're just looking for a boxing instructor." He said, "Oh, my mate will do it." I said, "No, I don't know anything about it." So they said, "Well, the boys are here, you're here, just for tonight." That was 59 years ago.
Well, there we are. John, what was the boxing scene like in Brisbane in those days?
Very strong. 10 days, there's really good fighters around. The Stewarts around, Clive Stewart. Later on, we got Tony Mundy, and he's probably one of the best fighters we saw. He used to fill the place all the time. But yeah, Noel Thornbury was there. Not Noel Thornbury, sorry.
His dad.
Trevor.
Yeah.
Trevor Thornbury. Very tough boy. He was a super middleweight, I think, memory. But he was a very exciting fighter to watch. He was very good. Yeah.
Then in later years, John, you joined the Air Force, and you were privileged to be able to train alongside some of Australia's great fighters at that time that were also in the Air Force.
Yeah, well, I ran into Noel Cundy. He joined up just after me, and what's his name? Foster Biberon. He was Australian heavyweight champion at the time, and Con Russell. So they're all there. None of the training, of course. They just doing that. But Foster Biberon, he been to Victoria, and he just loved his Aussie rules. So I said to him one day, "Try this." So we're having a game of rugby league, and he converted straight away. He just loved it. Yeah.
John, some of the fighters you had in that era there, coming out of there, when you started up at Boston Road Gym there, you had some good fighters down there. Greg Lee's gang was fighting main events, Doug Sam, Mark Jansen, all fighting main events at the Hall in the late 70s and the 80s.
Yes. Doug Sam was by far the best of them. We had 4 fights for them, and he won 2 titles, those 4 fights. What's his name? Mark Jansen. I was just about ready to close the gym up, but he come and asked me to train him, so I said, "Well, give it a go." And he then disappeared, and he finished up in Sydney. He had a trainer in England, told him to go down and see Mordy and train with him, Johnny Lewis. And he come back, he wrote me a letter and said, like, he's conned. "Can he come back?" I said, "Yeah, he can come back." But I moved to Clownborough, and he moved up there as well. But he never had the same interest after that, so he just part of the company.
Oh, John, talking about Caloundra, that's another chapter there. You had some really good fighters there. You had, well, Mark Jensen followed you up there. Luke Miller down the back, the big heavyweight boy, the knockout artist was there. Tony Keller, you took to Palm Island to fight. No, he eventually came over to Palm Island to fight Doug Sam.
Before my time, yeah.
Yeah, and David Nichols down the back there. They were all good fighters that you had up there at Caloundra. Then you moved on back down to Brisbane, and here we are now. You're now back down to Wynnum, your beloved Wynnum, where you've always loved, and you're still training boys.
Yeah, well, I moved down, I used to drive down from Caloundra to train Kevin Miller. He was a well-known developer in town, and he was a Masters fighter, and I took him over to New York for the world titles. He fought a bloke who's never ever been beaten, and he was world champion for the last 10 years. And being only a novice, Kevin won the first round and lost the next two. But a very close fight. Good experience. He loved it. Yeah.
Looking back, John, what are your proudest moments in your career as a boxing trainer?
Oh, probably some of the boys I've trained. Like I say, the best was Doug Sam. To see a bloke with that ability. His first fight, I took him down, he fought, I can't remember his name, but he just won the Australian title, and the bloke wasn't a great fighter, but he was extremely tough, never been stopped. Doug stopped him in 30 seconds. That was a pretty good moment.
All right, John, then just to round things up there, what advice would you give to the next generation of trainers and fighters coming through?
Oh, the only same old thing, Steve, is work hard and do your best.
All right, John, thanks very much for taking time to share your story with us.
Before you go, Steve mentioned Greg Lees again. Well, I was training him, he was a state champion, and he brought his mate down one day, and his mate was Steve Della. And so Steve started training there, and done all his amateur fights there, all his professional fights. Then he said to me, he wants to be a trainer. So that's when Fortitude Boxing started.
Yeah, that's right, 40 years ago.
40 years ago.
John, on behalf of the Queensland Boxing Hall of Fame, I'd like to present this to you and thank you very much for your service to boxing. Hope it continues for many more years.
Thanks, Steve. And also like to thank the committee members of the Boxing Hall of Fame for the induction today. Big honour. And all the boys that come to support me tonight from Tweed Heads, Caloundra and Brisbane. Thanks for coming. Thanks all of you.
One work, everybody! Thank you very much, John. Can I ask Luke Melton to come up, please? Luke around, and also Gary Wills. Do they come? Welcome down here, ladies and gentlemen.
How are you all? Once again, I'd like to thank you all for coming along and supporting such a great event. And thanks very much to the committee for organising such a great lunch and for a great cause. It's good to see lots of familiar faces and everyone getting together. I got nominated today to do the honour of introducing Gary to the Hall of Fame. He was a professional in the gym when I started as an amateur, and I always loved the sport, but watching Gary train and spar and stuff really cemented my love for it. We just spoke, I heard the guys before us speaking about Doug Sam, and some of the best memories I had as a kid was watching Doug Sam and Gary Wills go at it in the gym. You watch them all day. The sparring was world class, and we all know Doug, big Palm Islander boy. Gary, they used to call him salt and pepper, black and white, but it was great memories to watch him. So when I got asked today to nominate him, it was it's a real honour and a privilege, and I jumped at the chance. So yeah, Gary Wills was born on the same day as Cassius Clay, January the 17th, and he grew up in a house opposite Steve Della, so that's how he got into the boxing. He trained with John Burke as well. He just got inducted. And an interesting fact is, for Gary's fights, he had John and Steve in his corner, from amateur all the way through to his last pro fight, so that's quite the feat. Yeah, Gary had his first fight at 16 as an amateur, and ended up having about 40 amateur fights. Only had 2 losses, so he had a great amateur career. He was always a big lump of a bloke, believe it or not. Anyway, he was fighting at super heavyweight at the time. And then in the off-season, Steve and John got him involved with Greg Oliphant, the rugby league icon, and he did some cross-training with him over the holidays, and he lost a lot of weight and went down a couple of divisions, but by then he qualified for the Australian titles by the super heavyweight division, and that was the year that they were picking the winners to go to the 1990 Commonwealth Games. So Steve rung Arthur Tunstall, who was in charge of the amateur boxing at the time, and asked him if he could fight in his new division, and Arthur said no, as you'd imagine, and he made him fight in the super heavyweight. So he went through all the way through the semi-finals and lost to a pretty accomplished bloke from Adelaide, and missed out in the Com Games. But that's when his professional career started, and he had a fantastic professional career. He won 2 Australian titles, won the OPBF title, and he won his first Australian title in Sydney against Daniel Saylor, and he also picked up the OPBF title that night. So that was a huge effort. Good on you, Gary. Yeah, after it was funny. As I said, he won 2 titles in the professionals, but he never lost the title in the ring. So after he won the Australian title for the first time, it was a different era back then. He won it in April, and he fought a further 4 times and defended it 4 times before the end of the year. So the boys were a lot more active back then. Even the top line boys and the champs like Gary, they were fighting really regularly. He had a big fight booked in. It became quite the attraction, and had a big fight booked in Sydney in the February of that year, and the powers that be, being a Queenslander, he was injured and should have been given an exemption, but they stripped him of the title, and a fellow called Bakua Kakachi became the Australian BK Katasi. Sorry, BK Katasi became the Australian champ. So. Being the ex-champion, he had first crack at Bakua, the new champ, and beat him later on that year. Got his title back, got his APBF title back, and was ranked in the top 10 in the British Commonwealth, and also got as high as number 9 in the WBC, which was a huge effort at the time. Now, from there, the IBF was starting to make some waves in the world scene, and Steve had some negotiations and actually had him penciled in to fight for an IBF World Cruiserweight title. And to get the negotiations rolling, he had to sign an agreement with them. Now the WBC got word of it, and the fight fell through, but once again they stripped Gary of the title, and so he lost his ranking and lost the belt there. But he went on to have a great career, 17 wins, 5 losses. As I said, a 2-time Australian champion, 2-time OPBF champion, and world ranked. And I'm lucky enough to be still heavily involved in the sport. I'm a coach down at Fortitude Boxing, and it's been great the last couple of years. Gary has come full circle. He's back in the gym every afternoon, as his sons have both shown a lot of promise and look to carry on the family name, so they're in there a lot now. So to hear the man from himself is Gary. And just a couple of questions you want me to say. They called you the Wizard. Why they called you who named you and where did that come about?
So I'm not sure. I remember that I think we were looking at someone called me Magic.
and something else, and I wasn't sure, and they said, "Oh no, we'll put you the wizard because you work that's with your hands."
Yeah, I always knew him as the Wizard, Gary the Wizard Wills. And as I said, both the boys, Kobe's got his first fight in a couple of weeks, and Noah's won the state title this year, so both the boys are following in their father's footsteps. Must be a great thrill to see him carrying on the family name and being back in the gym and being back around Steve and all the boys.
100%. As you guys know, that I call Steve my dad because he took me in when I was quite young. So Steve looked after me for a long time, and then we've gone full circle again while I'm back in the gym now, also helping out in Fortitude, and with the boys coming through now, and them doing really well. It's all about them now, and I really enjoy that. It's like, and all the other amateurs as well, and that are in the gym, and I go to another gym. Elite, shouldn't say that out loud, but to help them out as well. Just because I like enjoying helping other kids now and get them coming through.
No, it was awesome to see you come back through the doors and get training again. And I forgot to mention too, you came back a couple of years ago and won a Masters World title, so you've still got it. So over to you, mate.
Just before we go, I just want to thank everyone, like my family, my wife, her and the boys for being here, and all my friends that are here as well. I appreciate it. Steve and Johnny wouldn't be here without you guys. One thing about Steve, and everyone in the ring would know about Steve, he doesn't teach you just about the box, but he teaches you how to be a person, a really nice guy, And to see him and what he does with these two boys, and pulling them up when they're wrong. And it's all about the atmosphere in the gym and the boxing community. It's amazing. Look at the guys here. It's unreal.
That's awesome. And mate, a bit of a special treat and a memento today, being inducted in to get the honour of getting off your sons Kobe and Noah. They get to induct their old man to the Hall of Fame. Something I'll never forget. Really good. On behalf of myself and Fortitude Boxing and everyone, thanks again to the Boxing Hall of Fame, and thanks a lot to Gary the Wizard Wills.
Boxing Hall of Fame people for nominating me and putting me into the Hall of Fame. Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Well done, Gary. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Luke, as well. Okay, now we'll just move along. I'd like to invite Scott Tweedy up, please, to introduce our next inductee. Scott Tweedy. Yeah, give me a round of applause.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you once again. I seem to be up here longer than Dennis, really. Gary, thank you very, very much, Gary, for all the kind words that you have to say. And we wish your sons all the very, very best in the ring and their boxing future. And your attitude to the game, Gary, just personifies the fact that really in the boxing world, as we all are here, we're all part of a very, very large family. And it's a very, very warm place to be, believe you me. And I appreciate all your words, Gary. Thank you. My role now is to present to you a very, very important person. In my view and my aspect of looking at boxing, he's probably one of my all-time favourites. Not only because he's a Queenslander, but also because he's an extremely good Queenslander, and from my perspective, a thorough gentleman. And every so often we're all handed with an exceptionally pleasant task to perform in life, and now in performing the pleasantry, I'll outline the pro record of this man. I'll be very, very brief about it. He had 44 fights, I think, and 28 knockout wins, and only had 8 losses in 44 fights. Now, I know you all know him, and I know that you can read his name in the book, so I won't keep you in suspense any longer, but would you please make him welcome to the stage, a very, very humble man, and it is very, and I would like to humbly introduce him to you to the great Alex Leopold. Now this Samoan band that you'll hear in the background is actually consists of a lot of Alex's family members. If you know the words, sing along. Now, Alex, of course, was trained by one of our Hall of Fame members, one of the leading trainers in Queensland currently, and that's Noel Thornby. Stand up, Noel, so everybody can see you. I will have a few words from Noel a little bit later on. Now, Alex, if we can just manage this damn thing, I think I'd rather just let it fall on the floor and make it a lot easier for me. Alex, you were born in Samoa, and where did you come from? What were your next moves from Samoa?
Just before I say this, I just want to find civil praise and glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. From Samoa, I was born in Samoa, and we ended up moving to New Zealand. And I think 1989, Dad ended up getting a job over here in Australia because he's pretty much a good boilermaker. So they brought him over here to teach the boys how to weld over here. And because of Dad's work, we ended up coming over here to Australia in 1989. From 1989, we lived in Logan, Brisbane, and we're still in Logan.
You're still in Logan. Yeah, that's great. And is it too late for me to welcome you to the country? I've been here since '89. What's that? 36 years you've been here.
Yeah, I'm an Australian now. I'm actually Australian citizen.
Yeah. And what first of all got your interest in boxing, Alex? Not just because of your size or whatever, but were you always a sort of athletic type of bloke? Were you interested in sport, or you obviously were never going to become a ballet dancer? So.
Well, I was actually a good footy player. I actually got a contract to play for the Cowboys when they first come out.
Oh, yeah.
But what happened is when you're young and stupid, I ended up going back at 19, trying to play footy with some of my mates. I ended up wearing a headgear not to show my face. And, well, anyways, long story short, I ended up getting banned from playing footy.
Why was that, Alex? Was it a personality problem?
No, it was just pride. I was always that person that always never took a backward step. But on that day, I ended up taking one of the big front rows out, and I got sent off, which I believe I shouldn't have got sent off. But it ended up chasing the ref.
I think we'll call this interview off.
That's the true story. A few years later, I ended up in don't want any other kids to go to prison.
Yeah.
And that's when I got down on my knees and I prayed. And I asked God to give me a second chance. He did. And through coming out of prison and then just having a lot of my friends come around and kept asking me, it was funny because he kept asking me if I wanted to go and watch him sparring. And I said no. And then the second time he come around, I said to him, he kept asking me, do you want to go and watch him train? I said no. The third time he come around, this time I got sick and tired of him asking, I ended up going with him. But when I got to the gym, the coach doesn't like come up to me and said, hey, put these gloves on, go and hit the bag. And like I said, I just can't believe how God works in mysterious ways, and he pointed me through my friend, pointing me this direction, and that's how I ended up doing boxing.
Well, that's great, Alex, and I'm pleased he did. I'm pleased he did give you a second chance. We really, all of us here in the boxing world, are very, very pleased that you had a second chance, because you most certainly have been very, very impressive in your whole boxing career. Who was your first boxing trainer, Alex, and whereabouts?
Well, when I first started off, I just letting everybody know, one of the guys who just got nominee today, Gary Wills. Gary Wills, congratulations, brother. He actually fought my dad.
Gary fought your father. How old are you, Gary?
Too old.
He actually fought my dad. I looked up I just looked up my dad's stats. He had 3 fights. I remember Dad winning his first fight by knockout, and in his last 2 fights, unfortunately, Gary Wills ended up knocking my dad. So that's just funny. And then, like I said, when I got banned from footy, I ended up doing, going backwards. Thank God he gave me a second chance. It was my dad who said to go and do some boxing, and my friend just kept pushing me and ended up going to my dad's coach, which was known was Barry Sewell.
Yeah, we all remember Barry Sewell, don't we? Yes, we do. And how old were you when you started boxing, Alex? Because you must be about 146 now, aren't you? Because you played football for a long time.
Yeah, well, I've been 146 now. But when I started, it's funny because I was actually 60-something kilos when I started boxing. And then as I got to the older, actually this is when I was younger, I started training with my father. But when I got banned from footy, I started doing a bit of training with my friend. I was actually about 125 kilos.
Really?
And that's how it all started. I ended up having 17 amateur fights, 14 wins and 3 losses. But the problem that I had for boxing here was that I couldn't get a fight. Even
I don't know why that should be. I can't understand that.
I really couldn't get a fight in the amateurs, so I ended up turning pro.
Oh, that is great. And you were only about 6 stone or something when you first started.
Yeah, I ended up getting my weight down to 91 kilos. Like I said, I was under Barry Sewell. My first fight, I fought one of the up-and-coming heavyweights, 8-0, big Mark Demori. Barry Sewell just chucked me in there with that guy, and we ended up getting a draw. My second fight, I remember Barry Sewell saying, "You should fight Bob Merritt." And I looked at him and I said, "I know who Bob Merritt is, because I'm not that dumb." And then he put me in, I ended up fighting the New South Wales Cruiserweight champion. And and that's how it all started. But eventually we ended up parting, in good terms. And God bless me with no form.
Yeah, I know you ended up with Noel, and it's to your credit you did, and to your good fortune too, because we'll be asking Noel to come up and have a few little quick words about your background. First, I'd first like to ask you about your fight with Vladimir Klitschko. How did you find him? Did you find him an awkward customer?
It was a big occasion. Haven't really talked about the fight, pretty much haven't even watched the fight, to be honest. But it was just one of those big occasions where, everything was on my shoulders, and, the game plan that we worked on, just sometimes it was just awkward. 6'7", trying to get in. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he'll go down plenty in history as being one of the greats. And but you fought so many top fighters in your time, and you fought all your fights that I've seen. You fought very, very honestly, and you fought very, very brutally, as if each fight was going to be your last. And your last fight was with Joseph Parker, was that right?
Yeah, my last fight was with Joseph Parker, 2019, I think it was.
Yeah.
Noel called me. Apparently, the guy that he was supposed to fight pulled out because of a failed drug test. And we only had 2 weeks to prepare for the fight, and I said to Noel, let's do it. We went all the way to Boston,
Rhode Island.
over to Rhode Island, and we went 10 rounds with Joseph Parker.
Yeah.
Not bad for 2 weeks camping.
Not bad at all. And, no, not bad at all. In fact, Joseph Parker is still, I think Noel could correct me on this, but I think he's rated still about third in the world, isn't he? I think about third in the world, yeah. And Alex, of course, he started out, as he said before, at around about 6 stone. Fairly hard to believe. But I've got to believe him because he's a Christian. It's just hard to imagine. It really is hard to imagine you 6 stone. And you've got your son here, young Alex Jr., who has, I think Alex Jr. has had 8 fights so far. I think 8 knockout wins. I think he's undefeated. And how about we all put our hands together and meet the young Alex Leopold? Welcome, Alex. Look at this Irishman. He's 19 years old.
What about me?
You're the most important one. No, you're not going yet, Alex. We've got more words with you. Alex, how many fights have you had so far, mate?
I think about 8 there.
8. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen you on TV, and you go very, very well. And of course, Noel trains you.
Oh yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. How difficult, and I've got to ask this question, how difficult is to get such a large body as yours is, super fit to get in the ring?
It's not too hard, because I'm used to playing footy. I was a footy player before I turned professional into boxing. I'm just used to moving my body on the field, and luckily my mobility also transferred into boxing as well.
Good on you. We congratulate you, Alex Jr., and we'll be watching with a lot of interest in your future boxing career. And in saying that, before I switch back to Alex Sr., before he takes it to heart, I'd like to call on Noel, his trainer, to come up and say a few quick words about the background and your association, Noel. You know, it's very difficult for you, for me rather, to ask you a question because you're the maestro and you should be telling us all your association with both the Lear boys, Alex Senior and Alex Junior, and what can you tell us a little bit about how your association with them came to be?
Well, I first met Alex, I would say it was 22nd of October 1993. The reason I remember that day is because it was the day my younger brother won his first Australian Championship in the light heavyweight division. And Alex come up there, I think he was just turned 14 years of age. Yeah, so, and there was another Samoan boxer there named Craig Peterson that Alex wanted to meet and walked over and so I was seeing Alex and he was only a young man then, sorry, a teenager. And the next time I was seeing Alex, I didn't realise that it was the same young fella. But it was in Dolby. I went out there with Steve Axel and Leo Butel. And we've gone out there to an amateur boxing night at the Dolby Indoor Cricket Centre. And Alex was fighting Carl Webb. So Alex was 16 years of age, and Carl and Alex, I think Carl was a bit bigger than Alex at that stage. It was a very, very competitive fight, and at the end of the fight, Carl Webb was given the decision, however, opted to give the trophy to Alex because his opinion was that Alex had edged the fight. So that was the next time that I met Alex. So then many years later, I was training a middleweight boxer. He was also a Samoan guy named Marcelino Marcelli. He won the WBA middleweight championship of the world over in Miami in the United States. And Marcelino, when we were in training camp at Gatton, Marcelino said to me, he said, "No, there's a Samoan boxer fighting tonight down at the Brisbane Broncos. I'd love to go along and see him." And so I said, "Okay, that'd be good." So we went down there, and this is how I actually formally met Alex. Alex was fighting a guy named Nerman Sabanovich that night, and it turned out to be a draw. And after Alex and I started working together, because Marcelino had spoken to Alex's dad, and they decided that Alex was going to come to Gatton and we were going to start working together long term. And that's sort of how that happened. So. So we've had ups, we've had downs, but we persevered, we just kept going, and Alex, believe it or not, turned into quite a good middle distance runner. He never ever beat me, but he ended up quite good. So when he ran good, he fought brilliantly because he found running much harder than fighting. And it's normally the other way around with just about every boxer that we meet. But he found running so much harder than boxing, and when he ran good, he was on all night. So lots happened. We fought all over Australia, all over the world, until this is probably jumping ahead in leaps and bounds. But we got to Germany. Alex. We secured a fight against the number one contender, Denis Boytsov, who at that time was touted as a future Vladimir Klitschko opponent. He was the number one contender on the WBO with a record of 33 wins, no defeats, 26 knockouts. And Alex, was a massive underdog. However, when he got over there, by the second round, everybody realised that this guy had a fight on his hands. Alex hit him with a left hook, and his legs went, and it shocked everybody except us. And so Alex, he continued on to knock down Boytsov in the 7th and the 9th round and bring home unanimous decision, setting the stage for the fight with Vladimir Klitschko for the heavyweight championship of the world. And it's the only time that an Australian boxer since 1906 has challenged for the lineal heavyweight championship of the world, the man universally recognised as the champion. We've not had anybody fight a Mike Tyson, a Jack Johnson, a Gene Tunney, Rocky Marciano, nobody from Australia. But Vladimir Klitschko at that time was 10 years heavyweight champion of the world, and Alex challenged him for the championship. So that's almost 120 years, it will be next year. So I'm very proud of him, and it's great to be
we would all collectively, wouldn't we? We'd like to congratulate Noel too on taking Alex so far. And I know Alex deep down appreciates what Noel has done for him and his boxing career. And what more can I say, Alex? But just welcome to the Queensland Boxing Hall of Fame, mate. I've got nothing more to say. It's just been a remarkable career, and my congratulations, and everybody else does. I know if we had 180 odd microphones in the audience, everybody would have something to say. So have you got anything to wind up?
I just want a few things. I just want to, first of all, give all praise and glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I want to thank the Queensland Hall of Fame, the committee. So awesome what you guys do, you know, especially for us retired fighters. You know, we think that's it, but you guys still remember us. And we appreciate what you guys do. Noel Thornbury, my coach, my manager, thank you so much, bro. I mean, I really appreciate it. You know, not many people know that when Noel took me on, we did everything together. We did the 10K runs. We did the sparring together. Because I couldn't get sparring partners, so I had to get Noel to do body sparring. You know, and trust me, you know, some days I had to spar him. I regret sparring him in the morning because he was still drunk. He just got back from it was sad. It didn't turn into a body sparring, it turned into a real fight. At least I can say I'll beat you. There's one thing I didn't like about Noel, I'm going to tell you guys. It's when we go do the 10K runs. Because I'm not a runner. But when you got somebody who's trying to push you, you're supposed to encourage you. But how can you encourage somebody when you're running backwards up the hill and I'm pushing myself and you're running backwards and telling me, catch up. And that was the one thing that I love about Noel. He's always there. He pushed me with training. And I was actually a part-time fighter. Worked 8 hours, go all the way to game for training. But hey, look, no, we made it. And I believe that having my son train full-time now in boxing, he'll make it to the top. Thank you, Noel. I'd like to thank also Boxing Properties, Phil Murphy. Phil Murphy's been a big part too of my journey to the world title. So a big thank you to Phil Murphy from Boxing Properties. The Corey Mail, Grantley Keezer. Grantley, thank you so much, Grantley. Grantley was always behind me, making sure everybody knew what I was doing, what I was. And also my media man, Sean Lawson, who can't be here today. Madison Sport, always backed me with all my boxing gear. My family, my friends and supporters, especially my mum and dad, Thornbury family, thank you. And my beautiful wife, she's always there, trying to cook my food, you know, trying to get it right, always. And my kids. And again, I'd like to congratulate Gary Wills, Jeff Horn, the Hornet. Thank you. God bless everyone.
Thank you very, very much, Alex. To both Alex Leopold and Noel Thornbury, thank you very, very much. Wonderful little acceptance. And do you think this lay is wide? There's not for a while now.
Okay, now for to introduce our final inductee of the day. Can I please ask Grant Teaser up here, please. Grant Teaser. Thank you, Grant.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for the warm welcome, and it's been a fantastic day today. It really has. You know, I've had a very, very fortunate life. I was involved with boxing for nearly all my life. In the early 1980s, with people like Jeff Fennick and Jeff Harding, and was lucky enough to be involved with them when they won world championships. And I thought that was it when I came back to Queensland. But really, the best of me came in the later years, because I got involved with people like Steve Della and his fighters on their journey, and then of course with Noel Corndry and Alex Leopai, seeing Alex become the #1 contender to the heavyweight championship of the world and fight for the world heavyweight title. But you know, one of the greatest days of my life came when our next inductee was in the fight of his life, fighting for the World Championship against one of the greatest fighters of all time. And I'd like to invite Jeff Horn up, please. And I'll do this before I overwhelm my emotion. I used to play this at Festival Hall when I first started as a journalist. This used to be the song when fighters would come out, stand up and fight. So Jeff Horn, it's my absolute honour to induct you into the Queensland Boxing Hall of Fame. If we just have a little chat to Jeff now, you know, Jeff is such a gentleman. He's not your typical boxing person in the sense that you don't have a boxing background. You came into boxing quite late. But this guy, in case you don't realise it, fought two of the greatest boxers in history. And these titles get bandied around, but two of the greatest boxers in history. And he went 1 for 1 against them. He beat one of the greatest of all time, Manny Pacquiao, perhaps the greatest boxer ever. And he fought Terence Crawford in a very, very competitive fight. Terence Crawford, who was just beaten.
He still beat me up.
Yeah, well, you were in there, mate, and I dare say that you gave him a more competitive fight than Canelo Alvarez, which was a fight that the whole world saw. So congratulations on that. If we just talk a little bit about that great day. I mean, how many people were here to see Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao at Suncorp Stadium? I mean, what a day that was. It's probably, as I say, not just a great day in Australian boxing, but a great day in Australian history for a bullied schoolboy to turn it around, thanks to people like Glenn Rushton, especially Glenn Rushton, who made him believe in the dream, to go from a bullied schoolboy within a few years to beating one of the greatest fighters of all time. I mean, just before round 1 starts, you're there thinking, hang on, is this really a dream?
Yeah, I guess thanks to Glenn. When I walked into the gym when I first started at 18 years old, I didn't think I was going to be a boxer. But by 20 years old, when I had my first fight, I was like, I'm going to do this. And he just pushed me through my amateur boxing career, and I started believing in myself more than I ever would before. And that's thanks to Glenn making me think that I was basically invincible at that.
And as you got into the ring, I mean, you had a great preparation, and I'd been lucky enough to go to Manila to watch Pacquiao fight, and I remember, you know, one of the few people that predicted that you could actually do this. But you were full of self-belief, largely thanks to Glenn and the way that he got into your head. I mean, even now, like, it's nearly 10 years later, do you think that was really incredibly something?
It's not 10 years.
But it's 8 years ago. But I mean, you must have thought to yourself, this is extraordinary.
Yeah.
From the background that you came from to beat Manny Pacquiao.
I guess that's the belief, I guess, what was kind of fed into my brain from when I started. And that thanks to Glenn to go, you could become a world champion one day. He said you'd take me to the London Olympics, which I made it there within 4 years, and then he said I'd become a world champion. So it was in my head already. Walking out of that stadium where most people are probably cracking themselves going, what am I getting myself into? 51,000 something people in the stadium. I was going, I'm going into war here. I'm going to win. Like I wasn't going in there just to have a fight to get a little payday and go away. I was going in there to become a world champion.
And you survived some rocky moments there. I mean, the 9th round was a tough round for you. What was going through your head? I mean, you've got Manny Pacquiao, you know, this 8-time world champion, this multiple division world champion, one of the greatest ever, and he's pounding you in that 9th round. Where did you summon up that will to fight back and then dominate the rest of the fight?
I guess that was just the belief that's been fed into me from the beginning, right? Like I knew that was my moment, and I trained so hard. I've gone up against such tough opposition in the past and leading up to Manny Pacquiao. All my fights, all from when I very first started, were all risks. I shouldn't have won any of them. Yeah. Like I should have been beaten. People going, who is this guy turning up the state titles in his second fight? He's crazy, and then I'm winning the state titles, and then going to the nationals. So I was always proving people wrong, time and time again. And that was just another time I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to win.
Yeah, and you did. So then it comes to the end of the 12th round. It's been a very pulsating fight, thrilling fight, and Michael Buffer says, and the winner. Are you going through your head? Is he going to say new or is he going to say still? What was going through your head at that point?
Look, leading up to that fight, I was like, you have to really beat the champion. Like, and probably the only way I thought I was going to be able to beat Manny Pacquiao is by knocking him out. So that's what you saw me trying to do. Even though I wasn't able to, I was really trying to upset him and make him walk onto a big shot, but I just couldn't get in there. So I was like, I'm not going to get the decision. There's no way they're going to give me the decision at the end. Even though I felt like I'd beaten the guy, I was like, it's Manny Pacquiao. Yeah. You know, you can't just win like this against him. But when they said NU, it's still to this day when I watch that video, it gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, everyone else too. Yeah. That was, as I say, one of the most incredible days. Anybody that was there, anybody watching on TV, it was one of the great moments in Australian history. And mate, you did. It was only a couple of years before that. I was out at the school where you were teaching. We were storing on this part-time school teacher who was boxing as well. You know, as a sideline.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And you pulled off one of the greats. I know a lot of people would. I won't keep everyone because I can hear the thunderstorm outside. But I know people would be very interested. You put Pacquiao and Crawford, two of the greatest ever. Which one do you think was better?
Well, I've got to say Crawford, right? He's the one that beat me and stopped me. So I was able to beat Manny Pacquiao, but I think it's style. Styles make fights, and that's with anyone. It just depends on who gets put in front of who. I think Terence Crawford's style and his ability to kind of adapt to all different people makes him one of the best, I guess, ever, which is what we've seen him do in the past, even with a guy like Canelo Alvarez. To school him in the boxing ring is just ridiculous. But Manny Pacquiao, what he's done and gone through so many weight divisions, who does that? Like, no one's done that ever before, so he's a champion in his own right.
Yeah. And I know you want to pay tribute to people as well, but of course, you know, one of the great thrills for me in your career was to be involved with your family and Glenn and your dad and your brother Ben, who were great supporters, you know, and of course Joe, your wife, and your children. You didn't have any children. You had a child on the way when you beat Manny Pacquiao. But would you like to say some things about the people that influenced your career?
I've got a couple of notes. Not a long one, so don't worry. But firstly, as Grantley said, Glenn for being my mentor and making me believe in that crazy dream that I could become a world champion. That wouldn't have happened if I hadn't walked into the gym, so I've got to thank you for starting it all for me. Also, some other trainers that helped me along the way. Tyrone Tongia, Dundee Kim and Chris Muckett for the strength work. These guys did amazing for me as well, and it was probably good at one stage of my career not being, I guess, full-time. Well, I was still full-time with Glenn at the gym, but it gave me that, I guess, little bit of a break, because Glenn would absolutely kill me in the gym, and he still loved killing me coming back to the gym as well, but give me a little bit of a break, even though Dundee Kim would smash me too, and they would all smash me. It just wasn't fun back in those days, that's for sure. But it took a lot of hard work to get to the top. But also people that I'd like to thank, my corner team, people that were in my corner the whole time. or my super supporters anyway, Stephen Edwards, Adam Copland, Briggsy, my brother Ben, and supporters like you, Grantley. You're always doing stories for me, so I really appreciate it. And also, who I wouldn't be able to do this without is the massive sponsor support that I had, and in my major sponsor, like Alex Leopi, Phil Murphy. He supported boxing so much and still does, and he was, I guess, a life changer for my career and making me support. To give you any idea, I was after a major sponsor, and it was to cover my whole teacher's wage, and that was 52 grand. I can't believe they're offering 100 and saying no, but the 52 grand back in the time. But look, he completely took that away, so I was able to get paid a wage, a teacher's wage, and do what I wanted to do, and that was box as a living. And last of all, who I'd like to thank, obviously, Mum, Dad, my brother, for their support, my sisters, my whole family for all their support during my boxing career, and also my wife. Thanks, Joe. From the beginning, been with each other since school, from where I stopped, and she's been supporting me in my corner, and someone I can go to and talk to no matter what. So I appreciate it. So thank you. That's everyone.
Well, congratulations again, Jeff, and thank you. And for me personally, thank you very much, everyone, for coming today. And it's wonderful to see so many great friends that I've made over the years. And as I say, being part of your journey was one of the highlights of my life, just as it was with Alex Leopi over there. You know, I'm just so grateful to everyone at the Hall of Fame for including me in these celebrations and these memorials. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks,